Hello guys. So today I was watching a report on BBC International on a Syrian refugee who is trying to go back to Syria, and the report says you can find the entire report in the description below. These refugees have come all the way from Syria. Now they are smuggling themselves back. That means they are going back to Syria. Zakaria has been living in Germany since he fled his home country, but he says integration has been difficult for two reasons. One, because the hosts, that means the Germans, view refugees as terrorists rather than Muslims, and because the second reason is because integration has been difficult. So the BBC followed Zakaria into Greece, and from Greece he smuggled himself into Turkey, and from Turkey he wants to go back to Syria. Obviously, from his accent one can tell that he is from Aleppo. He failed in his journey into Germany. I call it a journey because he came all the way to Germany, and it's a big challenge for everyone who wants to leave his home and go to another country. However, I want to comment on three important ideas that I want to shed light on it. First, it's very important to mention that people are going back to Syria fearless. And they are fearless because in the last 7 years we have been told that the people are fleeing from Assad and from his crimes and from his tanks and from his barrel bombs, and that the people are living because Assad is going from town to town and trying to kill his own people. Now, the example of Zakaria on BBC proves without further evidence that there are people who want to go back and they are not afraid from the government. In the contrary, if we check the numbers of the UN, in the last year 800,000 people returned to their homes in Aleppo after the liberation of the city from the Islamist terrorist groups. That means a huge percentage of the people who fled the city due to the war, they returned back to their city after the liberation. Whereas the mainstream media was calling it Aleppo fall, or the Aleppo city fell in the hands of the Assad regime. The second idea that I want to shed light is that integration in Germany is not easy at all, and there are certain requirements for integration. First, one doesn't need to become a German in order to integrate, but there are certain requirements for somebody to integrate into the German society. First is to start learning the language. The German language is not easy and it takes time. I've been learning German since 1.5 years now. I'm in the last course, C1 course, and I'm more or less able to communicate and speak with the Germans and live my usual life with the German people without problems. The second thing is, after learning the German language, is to learn. Is to study. The problem with the Syrians who come to Germany, they think that if they learn in their hometown, even university or even in a workplace. For example, in Syria, a person can leave his school in the 9th grade. That means he or she is 15 years old, and he can go, for example, to a firma and learn the profession in a firma for 5 or 6 years and work in this firma for maybe 30 years. But that doesn't mean that if this person comes to Germany, he will have a job in a similar firma, because in Germany everything everything works with a paper. That means if you have a certificate, you have the chance to work. Without a certificate, you can't work. It's very easy. Even if you have 30 years of experience, that means you need to have a certificate of a work training, for example. They call in German they call it an Ausbildung. So you have to go and study once again Ausbildung, for example, in Germany in order to restart your work. The other thing is maybe you have to go to university again. I applied to several universities now in Germany because I'm finishing my studies, my German language, and hopefully I will join a German university soon. So after studying or doing an Ausbildung, one can find a proper job in Germany. So these two things are very important to be able to integrate into the German society. So one needs to be patient. One need to invest his time between 3 to 5 years in order to be able to have a decent life in Germany after learning the language and after studying once again in Germany. Because if you want to compete in a very competitive environment in Germany, you have to have a high level of education or Ausbildung. That means a professional training. The third thing is one of his excuses is that the people consider the people coming from Syria as a terrorist rather than Muslims. This is a funny thing because in Germany, Germany is one of the countries that the Muslims in general have very good treatment from the government, from the NGOs, from many organizations, and even sometimes they have more opportunities than others. In my opinion, the religion in Germany has no role at all, neither in education nor in finding a job. This is only an excuse to try to find an excuse for your failure, let's say. Zakaria is not the best example of a Syrian who came to Germany and unfortunately he failed and now he returned back. There are many other Syrians who succeeded in these steps, and now they are either in university or they are in the work market. So this is a commentary I wanted to do about what I have read and watched on BBC, and I wanted to shed light on this issue because it's very important for the people to understand not only the Europeans but also the Syrians who are coming to Europe with high expectations. One needs to work hard, to invest time, and one needs to pass through several stages before he or she can find or build a decent life for himself or herself. So this is Kevork Almasyan, and you are watching Syriana Analysis from north of Stuttgart, Germany, and see you next time.